Hey, here we are back with Sola Cast. This is Jimmy De Los Santos, and I am with EC Holmes. EC Holmes, part of the Bar Podcast Network. His podcast is called That Deity, though. First question: how'd you come up with that name, brother?
So you know how when someone points something out and be like, "Yo, those shoes though," like when they point something out of like excitement to kind of highlight something that someone didn't see or maybe they denied it. And so when I came up with the podcast, people would always be denying the divinity of Christ, always denying the Trinity. And so when I would find it in the Scripture, where it would clearly be teaching of the divinity of Christ or the Trinity, I would post it on Facebook with hashtag that deity though to like point it like, look, what you said wasn't there is right here. And so that's really what it came out of, sarcasm, and it turned into something real.
Nice, nice. So, like, when did that turn into something that you said, okay, I want to sit down and put a mic in front of me and start talking this out? When did you decide that that's the direction you wanted to go?
December 2019, I think it was. And so it went from the hashtag. I was talking to my homie Chewy that does the graphics. He designed the logo and everything. And we had that conversation. I told him I think this is time to turn it into a podcast and actually do it this time. Got off the phone with him, started watching Babies Are Still Murdered Here. Before that movie went off, had a knock on the door, two Jehovah's Witnesses, and the conversation with me and Chewy was like this. We're going to constantly be attacked for what we believe, and there's a lot of Christians that don't know how to defend what they believe, particularly when it comes to who Jesus is. And so why do you believe Jesus is God? Most Christians can't go to the Bible and show why they believe that. They believe it because their pastor said it. Well, the Bible tells me so. Well, where does it say it in the Bible? Then they get stuck. And so I'm telling him this. We get off the phone. Again, I start watching the movie. Two Jehovah's Witnesses knock on my door. And I recorded that conversation. It's like 45 minutes. It's actually episode 2. But I only recorded it to show Chewy that the Lord just gave me confirmation. Because I'm just talking to you about this is what's going to be encountered. We're going to encounter this as believers. And I encountered it once again, and I was able to capture it. You know what I mean? So I hit him up and was like, yo, I got confirmation. We definitely need to do this now. And February 2020 was the first episode that we put out, was Who is Jesus? And then the second one was that conversation.
Man, that's great. I'm gonna tell you something. I had a Jehovah's Witness come to my house. I've if anyone was to ask me what religion or false religion that's out there that are you most comfortable talking to, it would be Jehovah's Witness. I spent like a year. Yeah, I spent like a year having lunch with a Jehovah's Witness guy. I learned everything that I could, and one of the things that gets me is the place where in John chapter 8 where they say, hey, you're not even 50 years old yet, and yet you say you've seen Abraham, right? And he says, before Abraham was, I am. The next verse says this, and they picked up rocks to throw at him. They picked up rocks to stone him with. And I asked the question to Jehovah's Witness, why would they do that? Why would they pick up those stones? The answer that I got was he was exposing them for who they were. I said, no, bro. They thought he committed blasphemy because he's making himself out to be God. Right? If you don't know who God is, you got a problem. And so this is I love your premise. I love how you come up with that and say that deity. Now, how did you get hooked up with Dwayne and the Bar Network?
So I don't know how I originally met Dwayne, really, but we were friends on Facebook. He hit me up a while back and was like, you got any new music coming out? Because, I do Christian rap. And I was like, nah, I'm not working on anything. And he was like, well, if you ever needed help with anything, I'm always here for you. And so when I had the idea for the podcast, obviously I listened to the bar, and I'm like, yo, what's up? How do you get this set up? He told me about Anchor. We talked about mics. We talked about how you set up a schedule to roll podcast out. And so we were kind of like, he was kind of doing like consultant, like free type consultant work, kind of answering my questions and stuff. But after I dropped the first episode, he reached out to me and was like, yo, what do you think about being a part of the Bar Network? And I was like, I was hoping you would ask. Because I wanted to be a part of the Bar Network. I wanted to be a part of what God was doing with his ministry. And it's a blessing. It's a blessing to be here with you guys and to meet everyone that we fellowship with online, if we can call that fellowship. But, the communication that we have with brothers of like mind in the faith to actually get to come here because of this network brought us together. And so it's just been dope, man.
So you opened up another can of worms. I know you didn't know this, that you were going to open up this can of worms, but here it is. And I'm gonna tell you something. I was never a rap guy growing up in school. I never had any incline toward that. Although there are some rap songs in the past in my past that I would say helped me out with some different things, right? But I will say this: when I hear rap today, Christian rap, I hear some of the most theological, on point things in uh, rap music, Christian rap, than I hear in just regular Christian worship, right? Now, I don't think that we could get Christian worship to be where the congregation is rapping anything. I don't think that's going to happen. But where are you at when it comes to like the Christian rap? Is it a theological thing that you got going? Is this how I can get my theology across, or how I can get my point across? What does it for you, and why do you do Christian rap?
So you mean particularly when I'm rapping?
Yeah.
Like, what is my motive?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's always message oriented.
Okay.
Basically, to embolden the believer in the times that we live in, because my style is pretty aggressive. Like even the opening line of the title track of my album is "Move from in front of me. I got something I want to preach. Listen in your safe space. Trigger warning gets a breach." You know what I mean? And so it's really like in your face. But I think it's still from a place of love. You know what I mean? I think people who listen to hip hop, they know hip hop is generally an aggressive, type of thing. But it's always with the message, and it's never with the message under the table. You don't got to find it. Like, what I'm talking about when you press play. And so my goal is always to get to the message. I'm not a punchline rapper. I don't do metaphors and double entendres like some of these dope lyricists do. It's very content driven. And so that's always my goal, to edify the believer, and for the person who doesn't know Christ, for them to know that there is someone named Jesus who came and died, and he came and died for sinners, and he is Lord. And when they hear of this Jesus in the music, the only thing they can walk away with is either I need to turn and to follow this Jesus, or I just don't like this Jesus at all. It's not a Jesus that they can play with or befriend or anything like that. And so I try to make it clear, and I don't want you to have to think through. I don't want you to have to decipher what I'm saying. I'll do all the work for you. You know what I mean? And hopefully I can faithfully present Christ to the world. And so it's very theologically driven. And it's the same way with the music that I listen to. I'm more or less, I care less about how it sounds sonically. I care more about the content that's in the lyrics.
Yeah, no, excellent answer. Kind of the answer I was expecting too, because I tell you what, I do find myself sometimes with the rap music that I might listen to. I'm not gonna tell you that I listen to it all the time, but sometimes I'll put it on because I want to hear how theological they get, and it's amazing the kind of content that you can find in Christian rap music nowadays. I'm not saying that's everybody, but there's a lot of guys out there that are really pushing the good hard doctrines. Christ, exactly. Yeah. What's in the future for EC Holmes?
I don't know, bro. We got to stick around to find out. No, I really don't know, man. I didn't think this was in the future. I never thought about podcasting. Before this, I never thought about blogging. Before doing blogs, I never thought about rapping. You know what I mean? So I serve at my church as a deacon. I'm in seminary right now. People ask, do I want to be a pastor? And I'm like, not necessarily, and that's not what I'm going to school for. But whatever God has for me, I just want to be ready. And I also want to be willing. I don't want to be like Jonah and fight against what God has, even if it's something that I don't see right now. So I really don't know. I'm just kind of, I don't want to say I'm going with the flow. You know what I mean? But I'm going with the flow.
Nice. But still, that's a testimony. Like, to everybody that's listening, be prepared. Get ready for when God says, here's what I want you to do. You're in seminary. You're getting ready. You're also a young guy. I can't go to seminary, bro. They don't let old guys like me into seminary.
Y'all teach
But
seminary.
we teach, but yeah, they wouldn't even let me in, bro. I would tell you that I'd get rejected. Bro, I already have. These guys don't know it. My elders at my church don't realize that I didn't got a degree, but I read my Bible, right? I read my Bible, and see, that's what's important. And I do appreciate you taking the time, and man, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I hope that we can collaborate in the future on some different things. Where can people find you?
They can find me. Just Google that Deity though, and Deity is not D-I-E. It is D-E-I-T-Y. It is something easy to mix up, but yeah, that Deity though. If you just Google it, all the social media come up. Before you listen to an episode, go to iTunes and hit 5 stars and write in there, this is the dopest podcast that I've ever heard in my life. It is encouraging. It is edifying. Make sure you follow this man on social media because he's only trying to point you to Jesus. So yeah.
Thank you, brother. That's what we got going with EC Holmes. Thanks, guys. It was.